If you're having paranormal issues, contact us at mwghosthunters.com. From the files of the Midwest Ghost Hunters.
All right, Midwest Ghost Hunters site investigation, recorder 1.
Oh, Dustin, right there. Something just moved behind you.
Yes, it did.
What the was that?
What happened?
Something touched my ear, man.
What's that?
This is Dark Matter with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
We're at Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri again. Thank you for downloading another episode of our podcast. We've been talking about several things here this morning. Among them was we talk about a lot of shit, don't we?
Yeah, a lot of stupid shit.
But we're talking about starting, because here's the deal. Let me back up a little bit. If you listened last week, we were talking about the drones and the UAPs and all that shit and this app called Enigma. And in the week since we were here last, Dustin's been messing around with it and looking on it a little bit, and he's become kind of an expert. No, but he has been looking through it, and it's impressive what you can do on there. You were looking like in our area here in Southwest Missouri. I mean, you saw some drone, or UAP. I'm not even going to say
in
drone.
In my area, like Tyler and Hunter and I, like in our area, there were sightings around in like these tiny little towns. Right?
And I need to quit putting it under the category of drone. It's not just drone spottings. The Enigma app was designed for any UAP, I believe. I know. And it just became drone heavy in December and, November. But anyway, the point is, Dustin was looking through that. It's pretty cool because you can go to your area, look and see where there were, things spotted in the sky. Can you click on them and see pictures that were uploaded?
You can click on pictures or video. You can take a video of it.
So we were kind of, using that idea and kicking around the idea of starting of doing our own app.
I think it's a great idea. Upload your ghost stories, your things.
For ghosts stuff.
Yeah. Or anything paranormal.
Okay.
Especially ghosts, though, because that's kind of the main wheelhouse we live in.
Yeah, ghosts are good, but if someone's got a picture of a motherfucking...
If we ever want to pivot to UFO investigations, I'm down.
How do you even do that? I don't even know how you do that.
You go to McDonald's, you get 20 chicken nuggets, and you drive around for 3.5 hours. Here's
what I know. I remember in about 2006, the show Ghost Hunters was huge. So Sci-Fi did a spinoff show called UFO Hunters. It was good. It was a different group of guys who did what you just said. Drove around and they would look at shit in the sky. It was not a popular TV show. It didn't last more than one season. If you look up UFO Hunters, it's the same logo as Ghost Hunters.
Well, we're not a popular TV show either, so it will fit right in.
No, that's not my point. I'm just saying it was a different group of guys, and they would do what you said. They would go out look into the sky at night. I don't know enough about, and these guys did. I don't know well enough. See, now here, I probably shouldn't. I'm using these guys that were on this show as a comparison because these guys knew where the satellites were. Does that app show you that? Where
there are apps that show you that.
I thought that one did.
I mean, I don't know. It might. I'm an expert on that. I don't know.
If you're doing a TV show, man. If you're doing a show on something, you can come in and the ghost hunters can come in to a location. They can mic it. They can go in and they're doing an investigation of this house. UFOs would be a lot more difficult to do in that particular situation.
It wasn't compelling TV.
What you're going to end up having to do is to do documentaries long form that here are military people saying that they've saw this over, like the documentaries you see. You could do that.
There's just a big difference when you're talking about TV viewers. There's a big difference between seeing something unexplained in someone's home and seeing something unexplained in the vastness of space. It's much more compelling to see something coming down the stairs than it is shooting between Mercury and Venus.
I'm just simply my comment was just like I would have just as much or more fun staring up at the sky. I take the trash out at night, and I spend 5 extra minutes just looking up like a fucking idiot, just in case you might see something.
Look, I've said this before. I would be happy to do that. I know our wheelhouse is always going to be ghosts. I know it always will. But if we ever wanted to I
still think one of the most hilarious things we could do in our group, one of the best things we could do is find a group of people that genuinely believe that there are Sasquatches.
Oh, I 100% would do that.
And
100%.
We could go tag along with our equipment.
Yes.
And just watch the show.
I would do that. I've said that before. I've never closed off entirely. I know Tyler will say I have, but I haven't closed off entirely something. I don't know what the fuck it is. I just don't know.
I'm never going to say nothing exists.
I know which way I lean.
But
I know which way I lean.
I'm pretty sure that Bigfoot doesn't.
I think it's misidentified something. But anyway, if there was a group, and there are, if you look, there's a shitload of them.
There are probably more Bigfoot groups here than there are ghosts.
Yeah. And if one of them wanted us to come along, it'd be I want to say right here, I would do it open-mindedly. I would do it.
I wouldn't go in there like joking around.
No.
But wouldn't it be funny if we went and...
this was the turning point, the watershed moment?
No, if we went and caught ghosts.
Yes. That's actually been something that I've seen happen where they catch recordings. So it's just impossible. I shouldn't even bring it up because it's impossible to describe. They've seen both UFOs and caught EVP recordings while doing these Bigfoot things.
Wow, the trifecta.
That's it.
They got it all, huh?
So anyway, that's something I can't even talk about. But if someone wanted us to go... If someone look, and we're this is not what we would do if we went. I would love to go. I
think it would be funny. It'd be a fun time for sure.
Yeah, it would be. Man, you talk about a podcast after that we could make just to talk about the experience. I want to see Tyler tree knocking.
Oh, I want to see Tyler. I've been wanting to see Tyler tree knock my whole life.
I want to see Tyler smelling the piss on the tree to see if it's fox or Bigfoot. I want to see all this stuff. So we would go. And do that for sure. I met a motherfucking Bigfoot hunter at the gas station in the pouring rain one time because I have the Midwest Ghost Hunter sticker on my car, and Rick
he met you like you guys were old colleagues.
Yeah, he did. He came over while I was pumping gas. He's like, "You a ghost hunter?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh yeah." And he stuck his hand, a big dude, stuck his hand out and said, "Rick, Bigfoot hunter." That happened. I texted you guys right after it happened.
You guys exchanged cards.
And since then,
He wanted to conduct some business with you.
And since then, I have seen vehicles. I remember one in particular was a Jeep with the spare tire cover that said like Ozarks Bigfoot Research, whatever the fuck it said. I don't remember. But anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Bigfoot.
I do. Let's keep going. Up north in like Minnesota. It's so huge up there,
look, everywhere I went in Wyoming, every store you go into has Bigfoot stickers and Bigfoot merchandise. Look,
Tyler just left the room. He's gone.
You got to offer something else.
If he has something he'd like to talk about, there's a microphone right here.
Why don't you just reach out to these guys and ask them if they want to come on the podcast and talk about it? Whoever these
these groups
Bigfoot guys are, whoever they are.
The guy you met.
I don't have that guy's information, but it would be easy to. I bet I could Google it right now.
Rick, Bigfoot hunter, Springfield, Missouri. You'll get something.
I probably will. But, I don't want us to branch out of our wheelhouse.
No. This is just for fun. And who knows? One of us might get murdered by Sasquatch.
Southwest Missouri Bigfoot hunters. There you go. That could be our...
Have them on.
Sounds legit.
Let's talk. Then one of us would probably get arrested because we'd sound insane.
Let's try to have at least an interview with them. Come on our podcasts. They'd get maybe some viewers.
Bring a few recordings,
Yeah.
We can compare how much
evidence
have we caught over the years versus how much evidence they've caught, which is going to be probably nothing.
I honestly have no idea.
I mean, I personally don't believe in the whole Sasquatch thing, but you know what? I'll be honest with you too. I didn't believe in the whole ghost thing either until some things I've seen here.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm looking up. I'm trying to see what the crossover is on the amount of people who believe in spiritual, paranormal ghosts. And people who believe in Bigfoot. If there's a lot of crossover, how many people are we tuning out right now? Okay, the number of people who believe in ghosts is considered significantly higher than those who believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah, okay.
So we're not alone on that.
That makes sense.
But just because we don't believe in it, that's mainly because we haven't experienced it and it hasn't directly applied to us. Same with Mothman. I find cryptid stuff to be fun.
Oh, it's super fun, dude. I used to read about this stuff on the internet all the time. Just little fun stories.
I
always looked at them as fun stories.
I remember.
Yeah, I think it's fun and generally harmless too.
Yeah, it's just like telling scary stories around the campfire.
Yeah, that's what it is. I remember being in elementary school finding books. There were very few, but there were a few books on the shelf about whatever. Like I can't even think of what
the things that
were.
like that thing that we grew up with when I was a little kid. That thing we always called the rock thing.
Yeah,
that was terrifying. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily some sort of a ghost or of a special creature or whatever, but we didn't know what that was, and my dad didn't know what what that was. And my dad had been around all kinds of animals his entire life.
Well,
but that doesn't mean it wasn't some sort of a mountain lion or a panther, or it doesn't mean that. It just means he couldn't identify it.
There's a lot of shit I don't know what is. That's why I was saying earlier about like if we go UFO hunting, I don't know where the fuck Mercury is. I don't know what satellites are up there. Same thing with this Bigfoot. I don't know what the hell a fox sounds like.
But if you want something really scary, the whole idea, like the thing that happened with you and your mom when you were fishing,
that was humans.
That's the scariest thing out of everything
that's terrifying to me.
Yeah,
humans would scare me 100 times.
That was motherfucker, and that wasn't even something I would chalk up to paranormal.
No, I'm just talking about a terrifying experience.
That's our sister category, cults, which I also love to read about.
Yeah, I do too. And that's the category that shit would fall.
I'm constantly on like high alert for cult stuff.
Well, you're
cult behavior.
You're pretty close to fucking cult central at the moment.
Pretty
proud to be.
Proud to be.
But yeah, going back to the main point, if a Bigfoot group out there, we could reach out to one. If we really wanted to, we could reach out to one.
Just for like an interview. And like,
are you talking interview or like?
Well, let's start with an interview.
Okay,
I would start with an interview. What's it going to hurt to talk to them? See what they have to say.
I want to make sure like we would interview them really, like honestly interview them.
Yes, yeah. I'm not just wanting to beat on somebody.
I would save the jokes until they left, and then I could say the jokes.
Well, yeah. Well, I remember whenever we had that.
I mean, it's not like that they're not aware that people make fun of them.
Right. We are aware that happens with us as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, that's why, Dustin and I don't really talk about the whole ghost thing to a lot of people.
I don't go to my professional life and talk about ghosts, for sure.
I do every fucking day.
I don't do it.
Because the word just happened to get out. I work with a lot of people who listen to this podcast.
And by the way, speaking of you and shows and everything, have you heard anything on the shows that they
filmed?
On? Yeah.
No, I know that they were supposed to come out in the summer. So that's all I know right now. They said they would email when they had something. Yeah. But hell, that's in TV time. That was just a short time ago.
I was going to say those things take a long time.
Yeah. As soon as I hear, if I don't think I've heard. I can't get any goddamn emails. The stupid this new update on my phone has made it to where there's no emails showing up here whatsoever.
So you know what that means? It's ghosting you.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Very good.
What? That surprises me, actually. The number of people who believe in ghosts is higher than those who believe in Bigfoot. I don't know why that surprises me. I figured there'd be more crossover there than there is.
It's because of the accessibility of it. Like you said, it's a lot easier to go ghost hunting. And it's a lot easier, for us anyway. It seems to be more simple to find some kind of evidence of it.
Now, here's the other thing we were going to talk about. We talked about the app. The one thing I did want to bring up about the app is what would be good features of an app like that for us. And we're not talking about big feet. We're not talking about, UAPs necessarily. We're talking about an app that's more within our wheelhouse.
Ghost shit.
Yeah. What if we, like this Enigma app, it's got a map and you can click on it and see what people in that area have identified in the sky.
It's pretty, like the obvious thing for me to go to would be to, instead of like the Enigma app focuses on video and photo, the obvious thing I think we should focus on is photo and audio.
Yep. Now, here's the thing I noticed.
And also tell us what happened.
Here's the problem. It's harder for somebody to fake a UFO, right? You can do it. You can fly a drone up there and take a picture of it. Back in the old days, they used to flip a bottle cap in the air and take a picture of it, and that's a fake UFO. But it's harder to fake UAPs. If we did an app like this where we could upload ghosts, here's what you do. Start your phone. Get out. There's an upload.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time.
That's what I was getting ready to say, is there's a couple of different things here. Look, we get so many people who send us fakes, and I don't know if they're doing it to be funny, but they're so obviously fakes. I don't really understand what you gain.
I think that the thing that, if you had an app for us, the most beneficial, or the thing that we would get the most use out of, number one, is tell us your story. Where is it at? What's happened? And if you can send us photos, if you can send us videos, but you will get fakes in that.
Well, here's what I want to go on and say real quick, just as a quick word of warning for people who were contemplating sending us what would be a fake. I've done graphic design for a long fucking time. The first thing I do when I get these pictures is I go down pixel to pixel and see if they line up. And And I know you can do a fake where you can bypass that option, but most of the time people don't realize that you can go in that far. If those pixels aren't lining up pixel to pixel, then something has been added to the photo.
I mean, anytime you edit a photo, there's always going to be like artifacts of photo manipulation. Like you can see them.
Of course.
Like stuff like you're talking
about.
Yeah,
every single time.
Not only just with pixels, but like with lighting. And
I mean, you can literally break these things up into layers.
But like if you started your audio right now and I just made a spooky ghost voice,
I can't disprove it.
No. In fact, like a lot of the stuff we've caught, I'm sure there have been people that listen to it and immediately turn us off and say those guys are faking
you're always going to have that. But as far as getting the sort of stuff that would benefit us, I think that if you could have a thing that would say, tell us your story, give us an idea of what's going on, and then also, and it could even be a mic app feature that they hit record, and then that way they don't have to type it out. If they want to record it and tell it and send it to us, photos and then video.
The way that
great.
Enigma works is you upload a case, right? And like the case inside
that's kind of what I was thinking, like a folder.
You can attach photo, video, and then it's mandatory, I believe. I've never seen Enigma submission that didn't have some kind of write up. Like you got to say something, right? And it also has the location and the time.
I think that's the sort of thing that we would be looking at.
So I think if you really want to do real data collection, you would want location, you would want time, you would want an option for photo, video, and audio.
It also has the ability for other people to comment and ask questions.
That's actually the most important thing.
Well, this is the part that I was starting to gets a little tricky, because if you ever look at any of those social media groups that are specific to paranormal, anytime anybody posts anything, the 499 comments under it are people making fun of them and saying it's fake. Yeah. That's what you don't want. Right. I don't know how you prevent that.
I have not seen that on Enigma. On the submissions I've seen, people are legitimately collaborating.
I'll tell you part of the reason why you don't see as much of that on Enigma is because it's kind of the same thing that we go back to the previous podcast. People have a fundamental belief. If I come in and I say that, hey, I saw this UFO or whatever, Tyler will zoom in on that. He's going to like that because he at least has a fundamental interest of belief in that. If I say that UFO was Mothman, he's gone. He's out. He's not gonna touch that at all.
You guys laugh and make
I'm
fun
not
of me
making
about
fun.
that shit, but that is the scientific process.
But that's
to immediately discount things.
But you have
to have an opinion, to have a hypothesis, and then test it with proof and data, which Mothman has none.
There's just as much proof and data of Mothman as there are other UAPs.
There just aren't, man. There aren't videos of UAPs being lifted up by military videos of Mothman being lifted up by military helicopters. Like there's just not.
But the reason why I don't think you're going to find the people bashing on it in something like this is because anyone that's going to go in and download that Midwest Ghost Hunters app, for the most part, are going to be people that have a belief, have an interest in that.
That's what always surprised me about these groups is I thought, you read through some of you end up dumping most of them because everybody's just making fun of everybody. It's like I thought everybody joined this group because you had a common, interest or belief in this thing, but everybody's just shitting on.
Well, but it also only takes 10 or 20 guys. There may be 4,000 that believe and 20 that don't. And if the 20 that don't get in there and start heckling, that's what that can cause that.
The vocal minority.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, that's something that we're thinking about doing. We would like input as far as if anyone has anything on what good features of that would be.
I mean, honestly, if we did something like that, that would be that would be the greatest contribution we could make, because that's what we want. Like Tyler said, if anybody's ever going to take this kind of shit seriously, you got to have data collection.
Yeah,
it can't just be like, well, this guy saw it, even if it's an airline pilot. Like that makes me look at it more seriously, but that's not data collection.
Right.
You've got to have some kind of evidence and collecting of data for people to look at and trends see things.
You do have to look at the character and believability of the witness.
Yeah.
But one of the most famous witnesses of the Loch Ness monster was a physician.
Yeah, I remember.
So that's
guy.
a very believable witness with a very hard to believe claim.
Yeah. Well, there was a physician that worked for the White House that thought sickness was caused by demonic possession.
Yeah, I know. Look, you're the last one that has to tell me there are doctors out there that are full of shit and nuts. I know there are. I'm just saying when it comes to, you one of the part of the process is judging the character of the witness, and that can't stand alone.
Two guys get in a fight on the street. One of them's a teacher and the other one's a convict. Character witness is going to play a pretty big part in people's opinion of that.
So I guess we need input on what would be good features of an app like that.
What Hunter just said, like the ability to comment, is probably the most important thing.
It is probably the most important thing. It is the thing that scares me the most.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that's what you want. It's like that one Enigma submission I told you about, where somebody from around here posted a picture of a UAP they saw in the sky. It was just like this object in the sky, except somebody said, "Look at this." This was the same day in New York City,
right,
at 3 a.m. and it looks like the same damn thing.
Yeah,
and one's in Ozarks, Missouri, and the other one's in New York City. And that's cool that they were able to collaborate and make, because it looks like the same object. The important part about it is that you can start to make those, that's good data to have.
That would be a feature unique specifically to their app, though. We wouldn't be able to have that corroboration and collaboration between so much.
Not so much, but I mean, like we just did it. We said, oh, we heard a voice. It sounds similar to this voice, right?
True. Yeah. That's true.
Just because we're in the same place, I mean...
Where do you want people to send suggestions?
They can just email them for now. I'd like to say go to the app and upload your... But I can't yet. Just email them at...
Can you imagine? Do you understand if we did this?
Huh?
Do you understand if we did this, how many orbs we're going to get? I hope you're prepared.
Oh, I looked through the email. Yeah, we get shit tons of orbs already.
Yeah. Little... pictures of zoomed in dust.
But yeah, if you have any ideas on that project that we're going to be working on,
we have a lot of projects in the works. We're doing a YouTube channel. We've got an app.
We already have a YouTube channel.
Unfortunately, a lot of this requires money
and time,
and a lot of time.
The money part is not. That's going to come out wrong. That's not the obstacle on the app. It's the mechanics of what to put on it.
Yeah. Well, I will say the money part's not an obstacle yet, but apps get expensive to develop. Like those guys get paid very well. App developers do.
Yes, they do. Yep. Anyway, if you have ideas, you can email us, contact@mwghosthunters.com, and kind of let us know, what features on there would be beneficial to have, because that's just really something that we would just be getting our beaks wet on. I like the idea a lot.
I like our YouTube idea too, where we sit around and
I do like that.
What do we sit around and do?
Well, there's a lot of things we could do. We could take it a lot of different directions. One of the things we could do is sit around and look at other evidence and analyze it.
I want to do. Are you talking about just Ghost Adventures? You want to sit there in Mystery Science Theater Ghost Adventures?
That's the fun stuff.
I'm fucking in.
Because I would have a blast watching Zach Baggins waddle around like an idiot.
I do love watching stuff I don't like. Oddly enough,
I do too. It's my favorite thing to watch. Shit I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I draw a line, because yesterday I was working on this laptop, and I like to have the TV on when I do that.
Yeah, background noise.
And I put it on, and I was sitting there working, and I heard his voice, and the first thing I did is get up. It's like, I am not fucking watching Zach.
All of a sudden,
yeah.
And then the one YouTube channel that John is fascinated with, we could watch that group's video.
I have tried to get Ty to do that, and he has not done
Here's
that.
my
we
question.
could all sit down. We go to your basement. We'll all sit down. We'll get some popcorn, and we'll just watch this stupid
Here's
shit.
my question, though, on the logistics of a YouTube channel. Are you allowed to rebroadcast?
Okay, so this goes back to fair use. We've had this conversation.
Yep.
Like, as long as we are providing something, if we are commentating over it and cutting it and like editing so that it shows us and not just we can't. It probably would be a bad idea just to show the show the whole time. But if you use like audio from the show and then cut to us and our reactions, that's fair use.
Fair use laws and policy have been put under a microscope over the past 10 years, and it's pretty cut and dry now.
Okay, that was the only thing I was worried about.
The only thing that's going to happen if we get in trouble is that
we could get a cease and desist.
They take it down, and we take it down.
Yeah, I got a cease and desist once.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. It was the damnedest fucking thing.
For what?
I was making so many projects for people, banners, and I was wrapping vans, fleets of vans.
Yeah, I remember you doing that. You had to stop?
Well, and so I thought, I was like, man, I might as well, to fund this a little bit further, I might as well just set up an Etsy store. I've got 10 million shirts I already make. So I set up this Etsy store, and I would just sit there with my iPad and my iPencil and draw shit. I would draw it, and then I would save that and think I'll just make that into a shirt. And I did that. And one day, one of my favorite things to draw when I was younger was underdog.
Oh, I still draw underdog.
So I sat there one day and I drew out this underdog.
You start with the 6. And,
no, I drew him flying. So
okay.
I branched out a bit. So I drew underdog, and I made a shirt of this, and I put it on my Etsy store. And I will be damned if in the mail, in an official letter
from Underdog,
from Marvel.
Marvel owns Underdog?
Yes, they do.
Marvel. Disney's Marvel.
You look it up.
Owns Underdog.
I got a cease and desist from motherfucking Marvel.
How is Underdog not public domain yet?
Okay, that's why. Okay,
100 years, isn't it?
Because
I talked to somebody who works for Disney, and part of what they do is they have got a whole army. There are armies, and I mean armies, of lawyers that they have that scour they're probably going to find this right now, and they're probably going to hit me with one. But they do nothing but look for this sort of stuff. And what they do is they fire those kind of letters at Chris. They don't really give a rat's ass at the end of the day if he draws and puts Underdog up. That's not what it's about. What it's about is creating a paper trail that when these copyrights and keeping things out of public domain and that kind of stuff, when that comes in, somehow they can take all of that laundry list. Here's what we have done to protect our
intellectual property.
Our property. They can take that to court, and that's why they do that, and that's where these guys will come in.
But I thought in order to keep the rights, you had to do something with that IP every so often.
100 years, I believe it is.
Well, if you'll recall,
I thought it was like 10.
No.
Are you still talking about Underdog? Because I was looking it up here when you were talking, and I linked that from
specifically
because if you'll recall, they did 2 Underdog movies.
When?
In the 2000s.
Oh, it's been that early, that soon.
Like if I remember, like there's music that's just now becoming public domain, and it's like even Louis Armstrong's music isn't public domain yet because it's every 100. So stuff that he made in the 1930s is not public domain yet.
I mean, hell, didn't like Steamboat Willie just become?
Now, I was going to say that. Yeah. A horror.
So it's every 100 years.
Winnie the Pooh also recently, I think. And they did a horror movie about Winnie the Pooh.
That was fucking awful.
So that's interesting. You never mentioned you got a cease and desist letter from Marvel.
It scared the shit out of me. And it's been several years ago. I've shut the Etsy store down, not for that reason, but because it costs too much to run those fucking things.
Do you guys remember those really old Fantastic Four movies that never really made it to cinema? Those were made to keep the rights.
Roger, or what's that guy, that filmmaker's name that made all the bad movies?
Moore?
No.
Roger.
Oh, God. Dang it, man. This is going to bother me.
This shit right here is part of the Marvel Universe. I thought, here, let me back up a little because I thought I was safe. I was very careful because I've got shit I've drawn for Halloween where I've drawn, Jack Skellington, or whatever. That's Disney. I'm not fucking with them. And I've never, I would not put any of that stuff on the store. But this Underdog thing, this comic book started in the 50s. I thought by now, I was like, surely God, this is safe. And I drew it. I drew it myself.
At the end of the day, they don't really care about your particular drawing. They're using you to create a paper trail to come back and show here are all of the things that our army of lawyers.
They're basically saying this is how much we care about this.
Right. Our army of lawyers have.
Well, here's what confuses the shit out of me. When I got this letter in the mail, I was like, what the hell would this be? It had my name on it. It had my Etsy store name on it. And I opened it up and it was a cease and desist. We're providing you this courtesy of a cease and desist letter to remove this item. And it had the item number from your Etsy store. And that's the first fucking thing I did. It's like, holy shit, I took it off.
When was this? How recent was this?
In the past 4 years.
Now, did you notify them and say I have removed it?
There was a link on there. Notify. Yeah, I had to notify. I had to notify Etsy that it was removed. I didn't have to notify Marvel. I notified Etsy that because Etsy was included on this communication.
Well, Etsy would be the middleman between you and Marvel.
Yeah, they were included on this communication. They had the this. You know what? The letter may have even come from Etsy. I can't remember.
Well, this reminds me when I was in high school, I used to download movies.
I know.
Like lots of movies.
Yeah.
Hard drives full of movies, right? And I was a kid. I don't do this anymore.
I do.
But I used to download movies. I got a letter
He's watching shit before it even hits the
I got a letter
screen.
from my ISP once and thought I was going to have to spend the rest of my life in jail.
This letter was very intimidating. I'm not shitting you. It was very intimidating.
So like every knock on your door, do you think the FBI was going to bust it down?
Yep. Expected a van outside.
I mean, the saliva on the envelope was still wet when I was over there taking this shit off.
Well, there are two companies you don't mess with. It's Disney and Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I didn't want to fuck with Marvel. Is that part of? Is that
Disney.
That's Disney. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't even realize that.
Everything's Disney.
I'm
now,
surprised my thing didn't come from the Disney level. But here's what it confuses me. And this has nothing to do with ghosts or our podcast at all. But here's what confuses me. Go to Etsy right now and look up Incredible Hulk. You're going to find 10 million motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who've made Incredible Hulk earrings, who've made Incredible Hulk
I
t-shirts.
think you're the unlucky one who got an example made out of you.
And my Etsy store was probably 3 or 4 months old whenever that happened.
I think you're just unlucky.
I was already teetering on getting rid of it because it's 55 cents a fucking item to post on Etsy. So you really got to sell to make money on there. Otherwise, you're just sending money to Etsy. And I did sell quite a bit, but not enough for that shit. Not enough to deal with that shit.
Yeah, and there's some awesome Hulk and Spider-Man shit on here right now.
Yeah, you telling me they're getting written permission to put that shit up there? They're not.
Well, of course.
Incredible Hulk rubber duck. That's fucking sweet.
Well, they just haven't gotten hit for whatever reason yet.
So anyway, I took it very seriously. Took the shit off. I took everything on there that looked like anything it could be.
How
something.
did we get on this?
We were talking about YouTube and fair use.
Fair use, right? Yeah. Okay.
So I was talking about I'm gun shy now.
I still think we need to make a YouTube channel.
I do too. I think it'd be so fun.
I don't know enough about what's legal and those laws shift around, and I don't know.
We don't have to really be concerned about that. Like that's the worst that's going to happen, and we take it down.
And we're not messing with like huge higher up companies or anything. This is just like other people running YouTube channels who are like, hey,
yeah, we could skirt YouTube completely and just host it on our own site.
I was going to say we could
money.
Yeah, and
how does it cost money?
You have to store that data somewhere.
Yeah.
I've already bought full. We have unlimited storage.
Does that include like
everything?
Hundreds of hour-long videos, though.
I have bought the premium as high as it can go on our website on our domain.
I still think we should do. I think YouTube would be a
it'd be the easiest way.
There's a physical server somewhere that would have our videos on it, and the expensive part is not putting our videos, storing them on the server. It's letting other people access those.
I don't even think we need to do it like that. I think we need to host it on YouTube and then just embed the YouTube video.
I know
that's what I would do.
A little
That'd
bit
be
about
easiest.
how the algorithm works too, and I have people who know how it works too, so I can kind of help out with that if we need it.
Well, we need it.
Hunter would be our point man on any YouTube.
You're completely out of my wheelhouse.
There are very successful YouTube channels that just watch things and react to it. And
I would love to do it.
And there are successful YouTube channels. Like my favorite YouTubers, the Red Letter Media guys, literally just watch bad movies, and it's like Mystery Science Theater. If we did that concept but with ghost shit, I think it would be hilarious. I really do. I think it would. I would be
careful. I would be real careful about just haphazardly picking apart everybody's ghost shit. I would really look for a directional approach to make. Zach Baggins is what professionals like to call a little bitch.
Call me a professional.
So he's an easy target, but being a little bitch makes him very temperamental when people make fun of him.
Yeah, but like I said, if we're doing fair use and adding something, something to it, like we would be, he has no.
There are videos on YouTube of Zach Baggins just getting absolutely
I
annihilated.
know. I love them.
YouTube does protect fair use somewhat too. If someone files like a fraudulent copyright claim on your stuff, they'll tell you and be like, hey, this person tried to do this, but it's not very legitimate. So we denied it.
You remember Ralph from YouTube?
Yeah, I do.
One of you guys have sent me links to something of someone making fun of Zach. The TV. His show is so terrible. I can't believe, and I know I'm alienating a lot of people here when I say this. Maybe. Hell, I don't know. Most people, last time we roasted Zach, most people who emailed, and there were a shit ton supported. They're like, yeah, I can't stand it.
Look, I'm not in the business of pretending I like people for the sake of popularity. If there's people out there that like Zach Baggins, more power to you.
Sure.
I don't care. I am going to continue to make fun of him because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I like it.
Yeah.
And if we ever get a TV show and our producer says, hey, listen, you little shit, stop making fun of Zach Baggins, he's my nephew, I'll be like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Give me my check. But until that happens, I'm going to continue to make fun of Zach Baggins.
Yeah. That's an idea we've been kicking around for YouTube for a long fucking time.
I don't know why
If I get taken into a trailer and said, listen to me, Mothman is real, I'm going to say, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's real.
We could make the road trip to Point Pleasant and do a... Have you ever been to West Virginia? And look, I know we have listeners in West Virginia. I'm not launching into a make fun of West Virginia
I've never been
thing.
to West Virginia, no.
I have. I've been to Point Pleasant, and it's very country.
Yeah. You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smack in the middle of Appalachia is what that is.
Yes.
That'd be a nice change of pace for me. I'd like some country in my life. I woke up this morning thinking, you know what I could use some more of? Country fuckers. I just really love them. Love them. Spent my whole life around them.
We got off on a bunch of different side shit there, but the app is something we're seriously looking at. That's something we can move on pretty quickly and do.
YouTube channel is a thing that's just so within reach. We just haven't done it.
It just takes
And
time.
the only thing that's stopping me from doing it right now is equipment.
I don't know what the equipment needs are for something like that, but I also know this much. I like Mystery Science Theater, for instance. It's my favorite thing to watch on this fucking planet. I watch the Avalanche Rock Hudson Mystery Science Theater. I bet I've seen it 19 fucking times because it's funnier every time I watch it. They're funny, but they're not mean.
Yeah. There is a difference. There's a fine line there. I mean, you can make fun of somebody and still be respectful.
My favorite part, Avalanche is probably my favorite Mystery Science Theater. This is available on Netflix. It's called Mystery Science Theater 3000: The Gauntlet. It's the newer Mystery Science Theater they came out with, and the main guy is so good. He's really good. But there's a Rock Hudson movie where he opens this lodge up on a mountain. It's called Avalanche, and you can imagine what the crux of the movie is. But Rock Hudson, who we all know, you know Rock Hudson. Do you guys know Rock Hudson? Or are you too young?
I know Rock Hudson.
Rock Hudson was a very Rock Hudson was a very famous ladies' man actor in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Hangs dong.
During the 70s at least.
Well,
I think by the 80s he was.
Avalanche, I know, came out in the 80s, so at least he dabbled in the 80s a little bit. But he was this a man's man type, John Wayne guy.
Ladies' man.
Yeah. Well, he this was back, when being gay was, you didn't say it if you were a famous actor. He ended up coming out and saying he actually is gay, and he passed away of AIDS. And on this, I'm not laughing at that at all. But on the Mystery Science Theater show, the movie they're watching, Rock Hudson is on the phone and he's angrily talking to these people, and he slams the phone down. He's like, these guys have been up my ass all day. And Crow, the one robot, just sat there and looked at everybody, and he's like, I'm not touching that one. And it was I rewound that part to watch it. Now, that's not making fun of Rock Hudson. That's not being mean, about the condition he had or anything like that. It's just funny. So there is a fine line between just being outright mean and making fun of someone.
We're already very different than any podcast about paranormal shit I've ever listened to.
For instance, we haven't talked about any today.
We have not. For example, we have done literally no ghost shit today.
None. Yeah. None to speak of.
And really, very little over 2 weeks.
Yeah. But most of the positive comments that we get, and we get a bunch.
It's about the humor.
Is about the interaction.
Yeah, and the comedy and the fun.
I'm just saying you would have to police it real well to do something like we're talking about, to not tip over into being just an asshole about it.
I mean, but also, we could also just be assholes sometimes.
Well, you can.
You guys, I think we have a pretty good balance.
We always say,
I probably make up 75% of the asshole of our group. Would you say?
I'd say closer to 80, but yeah. I think you're in the ballpark.
But yeah, when you say we're different than most paranormal group podcasts,
dude, just go. I don't know if you guys ever listen to other paranormal shit.
Yes, I do.
But I do, and it isn't like this.
I know. It's the guy talking with the Dracula accent.
Yes.
Good evening. Welcome to the podcast story.
To be fair, that shit's cool too.
I like that. That's fine too.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's hard to touch stuff like Coast to Coast, that formula that they use, which I could never make fun of because I loved it. I loved it. I would stay up way too late listening to that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That would be very different than what I'm imagining. He was an entertainer.
I'll never forget the one, and it's made the rounds, in years since. The one where he had the guy call, sounded like he'd been running 3 miles. Who was the Area 51? You remember that guy? That call where the guy's like, I worked there. He sounded scared and out of breath.
Is this the same one where the power went out in the studio?
Yes. Yeah. That was the weirdest fucking thing ever. But that's some of the stuff that we're talking about doing. I don't want to get to the point where people hear us talking about stuff we're going to be doing and
roll
in their eyes. No, we're never going to do it. But this is something we've talked about. The app thing's brand new, and that's something you could, like I said, you can move on pretty quick.
I think the YouTube thing, if we're going to do that whole route, it would have to be kind of separate from what we're doing here.
It couldn't be. Yeah, they couldn't be tied.
I don't think it should be Midwest Ghost Hunters Dark Matter.
No,
I think it would just be featuring Midwest Ghost Hunters.
Well, that's why I'm saying I don't even know if that kind of thing would land on our main our main YouTube page. Maybe it would.
No, I don't know.
Just brand it completely differently, and then just like in the description,
I don't know
like,
why
hey, look, we have a
wouldn't.
podcast.
I don't know why we wouldn't brand it differently.
Yeah, no.
We have concepts of progress.
Well, I mean, you and I got as far as writing. Remember,
We wrote like a paragraph.
I wrote a bunch.
We have concepts of a plan.
We had.
It was pretty sweet. I made a theme. I made an intro.
We were going to do the Battle of Los Angeles. Remember?
Yeah, we should still do that.
And you started writing it, and you sent it to a shared document to me, and I wrote a shitload.
But that was going to be like a legitimate, serious look at it.
What we're talking
I don't want
about,
to do legitimate, serious.
Well, the more I got to looking into it, the more I got to thinking, man, this is going to be a big production because you've got to use footage intertwined that you have rights to.
Yeah, and there's tons of people that have already made that video.
It's already been done.
Yeah.
It's been done to death.
So we kind of strayed away. Spearfinger.
Yeah.
I know of no...
Which is a really cool name.
I know of no groups or no...
Do you know what Spearfinger is? I don't know if I ever told you where the name came from.
I think I Googled it.
Oh, you did?
I don't remember.
It's a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I know of no YouTube channels.
I'm fucking sure it is.
It sure as fuck is.
That do like Mystery Science Theater style, Red Letter Media style stuff about paranormal stuff.
That's the thing I was going to say. It'd be a really good way to carve out like a new niche.
Yeah, there's a niche there. Like there's an audience there. I promise you.
Well, there's 5 of the audience sitting right here, I know. But how many like-minded people are there? I think there's a bunch. Judging by the comments we get on the podcast content itself, people don't care. I mean, yeah, you can look at the numbers bouncing up and down on whether we talk about UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, whatever the fuck. But I know on the comments side, that's where I look. They don't really care what we talk about. They just think the interaction is funny.
There's an audience for people that stick oil rods up their urethras. Like, I don't care about the audience. I want to do it because it's fun.
Yeah, that too. I just think it's a very fun idea.
Oil rod.
I could hear the cogs turning on what you wanted to say. Like a Mad Lib.
Jesus.
You got a good laugh.
See, we're so funny.
But I've actually, we've talked about this before. We've talked about doing this before. And like I said, I put Mystery Science Theater 3000 on my TV all the fucking time.
You really need to listen. I know we've told you this before.
I cannot believe
you really
that you
need to
haven't tried
try Red Letter Media.
You guys have sent me a link and I never watched it.
You got to try it.
That's what I watch to go to sleep.
I don't watch them as
night.
much as I should, but they are really funny.
Oh my God, it's so good. If you like B movies, that is your thing, man. And that's kind of what I'm picturing. But instead of just B movies, we do just paranormal. And we could also do like
ghost movies.
Ghost movies. Because there are some that are just so ridiculous, man.
Ghostbusters. We could review Ghostbusters.
Poltergeist, Amityville. Probably a logistical thing that I shouldn't even bring up on the podcast, but I'm going to do it anyway.
There's been a lot of things we've talked about that shouldn't be brought up on the podcast.
Are you talking about the word
today?
Are you talking about the word urethra?
Oil rods being shoved up your urethra is something that I did not expect to be.
That's called sounding.
As I watch, I know Mystery Science Theater, and I hate to keep going back to it, but it's the one in my head, and it's the one I watch a lot. And I was actually thinking about this last time I watched it because we've talked about doing this before. And I was watching. I know they present it as off the cuff comments, but they're very pre-planned.
See,
they're very written.
Red Letter Media is
very
not.
Cleverly delivered.
They literally start cameras and just have fun, and then they cut out a bunch of stuff that's not very entertaining.
So that's what I'm saying is I've got to get out of because what I'm thinking requires a major production squad.
We would not need to write a script for what I'm imagining.
Because
I don't want a script.
Because if you'll notice on Mystery Science Theater, MSTK 3000, their comments are delivered at a time they never talk over the people in the movie. So it's all cleverly written. It's all constructed to be a certain length and is delivered very very premeditated and pre-planned, and there's a lot of production.
See, they talk over it in Red Letter Media, but then they'll also like cut to just footage of the thing they're doing to kind of show you what they're doing.
That's what worries me in getting this thing done. Anytime we've ever talked about anything where you have to cut to something, none of us know how to fucking do that.
Hunter does.
I do.
Hunter's been cutting YouTube videos and editing them for years.
Hunter and I both know how to do that.
Hunter has a reasonably large YouTube channel.
Then at least I'll speak for myself and say that's my roadblock. Anytime that to me is a production
that is
nightmare.
Not even close to being a roadblock for us.
I mean, is that something that could be done? Like if you record it on Sunday night, that's done?
No.
Probably
These
not.
would take about a week to put together.
See, that's my worry. Who here has time to do that?
Hunter's in college. I've got a job, so we would be
I've got
doing it on
weekends.
our off time.
Yeah.
I've got weekends.
I just want to be
and Tuesday,
very
Thursday.
realistic. I want it to be as basic and simple as possible. Even, I mean,
It takes a lot longer than you guys think it does.
Here's the deal.
And I will tell you that from the guy who edits the audio podcast.
well,
I mean, Hunter does it for his own thing.
here's the deal: is I have several mental roadblocks on this thing because I majored in communications, mass media. I could do audio editing all fucking day. I did that for half my life. But when it came to my video editing classes, I fucking hated them.
I actually enjoy it a lot.
I hated them.
It'd be a new thing for me because I'm not used to the format.
It was so clunky. It took so long to get 6 seconds of video. It just took fucking forever. So if we could do anything where there's as little production value, as needed, I think the better.
These two can edit videos. I have dabbled in it.
What if you did?
You guys wouldn't even have to touch the editing.
What if? I know
you gotta
that.
do
I know,
is
but
like-
I just know us all well enough to know if something gets too daunting, we keep kicking the can down the road.
No, what
I
I'm
mean, this is I've
so
been
here's
wanting to do this.
But here's the idea I'm throwing to avoid all that. I can just see all that being a cumbersome nightmare because honestly, yes, he is a college student. Yeah, you have very few of us have time to do a whole lot of that on any given day. So what if you did it where the whatever you're watching plays continuously in the corner and then everybody else is on camera continuously in the mainframe? Something like that is what I'm thinking, where there's very little cuts.
That's where it gets a little kind of dodgy.
But I can cut really well. You're just gonna have to see it.
I know you can.
You're gonna have to see
but
it
do
done.
you have time to do
Cutting
it?
for me is
Yeah.
the least time consuming.
I think the only thing
what
keeping
I
us
do,
from doing this right
at
now
least.
is us actually doing it. We need cameras. We need to sit down and just do it.
The only thing keeping me from doing it, being honestly, is making sure the production stuff gets
I
done.
don't even, you guys. I don't.
But
think
it doesn't have to be done in any like this. Would be something we do, and then 3-4 months later, it hits.
The thing is, I've tried to I've recorded. I have video of our podcasts on my iPad and my iPhone. The only thing that was stopping that from becoming a video production was the fact that there was an issue with the technology where I couldn't transfer the data from the phones and the iPad to the Windows computer. It wasn't working. I couldn't figure it out. So there was a format
We would need cameras and shit.
compatibility issue that I couldn't figure out how to get around it. And then there's data limits on transfers of files that are that large.
We would need good cameras with like
just need
SD
cameras.
cards and SD card readers for computers.
And I could tell you how many cameras we'd need. We need 1, 2, 3. We could do it with 2.
I'm just trying to do it with as little minimalist.
Do we have 2 cameras?
Minimalist. I have none of that, so I don't.
Great podcast, guys.
There it is.
So we've talked the whole time about this great idea. It's like, oh, well, we don't have the shit to do that. I was just trying to think of a way to make it very direct, very
That goes back to
minimal
our road
production.
blog. Our road blog is like getting the material, getting the equipment needed.
Just watching the downloads come in.
Watch them rack up, man. And then what we do is we put it on YouTube with about 57 ads every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yep.
Enjoy.
Can't do that yet. Need to earn monetization first.
Enjoy. That's pretty fucking funny. Anyway, I hate bringing up shit that we never move on, but I was just being very
Okay, the
transparent about
investigation
my...
wasn't our fault. Us not doing the investigation when we planned was not our fault.
No. We're going to do that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about over the years we've talked about this other YouTube thing, and then this, and then this, and then this, and now the app. These are just things that take if this is what we did full
I
time.
was getting ready to say we would have all that done.
We would have that all done.
If we all didn't have jobs and and have to pay bills.
But we have to work. I have to go to swim meets, and everybody has that kind of stuff. You've got a 5-month-old?
Yeah,
6?
I got a 4-month-old
5?
newborn.
Yeah. So, everybody's got their things, and that's kind of some of the stuff that gets in the way because, this is not what we do full time. I'm not
Plus,
trying to.
if nothing else, even if we just try it once, we all get to hang out for a night watching funny shit we enjoy watching.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's what I wanted to do with very minimal production value needed. Just trying to think of the logistical way to get that done is going to require a little thinking, unless someone has some ideas. You're always free to email us any ideas you have, or to any feedback about anything we say, whether, hey, that's a stupid idea, or hey, that's a great idea.
That's a good way to kind of tie this into this, is like, if you're listening and you think you would watch something like this, us just kind of sitting around watching paranormal related media and laughing and joking.
Yeah, not mean spirited, just
kind of having fun,
doing what we did here today,
right?
Minus the urethra.
I mean, if we watch a show where something gets thrown and we can pause it in HD and see the string that caused it to happen,
yeah,
I'm gonna make fun of that and laugh.
Sure,
at it.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but if you have any feedback on anything we've talked about, maybe not anything we've talked about, but
if you've ever taken an oil rod and shoved it straight up.
Email us contact@mwghosthunters.com.
More Dark Matter next week from Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
Man, John did not wait long to say that. He was we're out. Oh, man, you barely got that sentence out before he was more Dark Matter podcast next time.